fastest stock cars leave the grid now at Calder Thunderdome for the 250-kilometre journey in the Quit NASCAR 250. And on pole position is Barry Graham in the Valvoline car, only the second pole position that Barry has ever achieved. George Elliott was next on the grid too, Barry, after qualifying yesterday, but he's been put to the 5 of the major contenders will start from the back of the grid. Way back on the grid is Charlie O'Brien, the man who is challenging Max Dumesny himself, Max Dumesny. Now, Max Dumesny, probably one of the cleanest and fairest competitors in the business, was caught.
And yeah, the things they've got on the car that aren't right, it's a very fine difference between being right and wrong. So I don't think you'll find
markers who perhaps aren't really on his pace.
Well, the trick is, I think you'll find Max and Charlie and George will take their time. They'll just ease past.
Charlie O'Brien had his engine problem with a valve hitting, and Terry Byers and Max Dumesny both with track problems. There's Charlie O'Brien in car 15, the BP Visco car, whereas on the front of the grid, car 3, waiting for a start, Barry Graham in the Valvoline car, alongside him 91. The DuPont vehicle of Walter Giles from Bankstown in New South Wales.
Someone who has benefited from those guys being put in the back of the field, of course, is John Faulkner, the 46 Newline Oldsmobile. He's come up a number of places, but someone who had benefit, but unfortunately this morning lost out, was Perry Schubert. He was put on
and hooked the front off the car.
Very easy thing to do. You can't really have a spin here without getting away and hitting something. So very unfortunate, but it's all part of a learning curve, and I'm sure that he'll be back for the next one and a little wiser and a little.
Yeah, we'll be talking to Alan during the race meeting itself. He's equipped with our two-way camera and audio system, but of course we'll only be speaking to Grice during the caution laps, because these guys need all their concentration about them. As now we head down into turn 4 and wait to see if the pace car pulls off and gives us a start.
The Ford EB Falcon pace car about to pull in. It does. Barry Graham controlling the start. We're about to get underway. The Quit NASCAR Series. John Mostini waves the green flag, and away we go. NASCAR 250.
Graham holds the start right back, then guns it as he goes across the start-finish line. And just look.
Fantastic start by Ian Thomas.
Oh,
Ian Thomas.
Sensational.
The Palm Royale Cans sponsored car coming up the back straight now. What a great job that he's done. He's got 2 car lengths lead, 3 car lengths already over Barry Graham.
Off 7th grid position. He's lunched 2 cars this season so far, and just flying is Ian Thomas.
Did he jump the start, Bradley?
Well, I was actually just watching the box to see that, but they grabbed a yellow, but they certainly didn't grab a black. So, no, just a sensational start by him, and he's making hay while the sun shines, basically. He's got a great lead now, and obviously very comfortable in that car.
Thomas had a huge crash at Adelaide International Raceway 3 weeks ago, and in fact hurt his neck rather badly. He's doing a lot of physio on the neck ever since, and you'd hope that it'll work for him over 120 laps here at Calder Park Thunderdome.
So Thomas well out in front. Then there's Walter Giles in 2nd spot, Barry Graham in 3rd. Challenging Graham for 3rd is Kim Jane. The Southern Motors Pontiac Grand Prix has taken 3rd spot.
Max Dumesny is up to 12th position already, and Charlie O'Brien is lurking back in 15th.
A good start for Max Dumesny as well. He's made up 6 spots on the start. You see Kim Jane there, the number 27 car. He's got past Barry Graham. And Walter Giles about to challenge Ian Thomas for the lead. They're going into turn 1 and 2. The NASCARs lap extremely quickly around the Calder Park Thunderdome. Giles trying to take the slipstream up the back straight. Thomas covers him all of the way. Graham, in the meantime, takes back 3rd spot from Kim Jane. And that's 4 laps down and just 116 to go.
You can just feel the thunder of these cars as they go by, can't you? I mean, this really is something else. Again, 650 horsepower average, some of them getting up around the 680 horsepower. Certainly the 2 Valvoline cars are achieving that. But there's your race leader, Ian Thomas, North Queensland property developer, building a hotel up there at the moment. and the owner at one stage or other of 5 NASCARs.
Barry Graham making a bit of a move there. He's, I'd say he's done a couple laps, felt his car out, and pretty happy with what he's got.
Graham's got his eye in probably more than any other driver here today. He races, or rather drives quite regularly in the United States in the Petty School over there. He teaches other people how to drive NASCARs. So he's just back from more than 500 high-speed miles.
And it's certainly working well for him. He was very fast and smooth yesterday. He's got that car working perfectly. I'd say he just sat back, had a bit of a look at what some of the other people had, and now he's starting to go towards the front.
And look at George Elliott come up through the field as well, just flying. He's up into 6th position already from the back of the grid.
Boy, he's doing exceptionally well. Come right back from the field. There's Barry Graham on screen, the Valvoline Oldsmobile Cutlass. And one of the team cars from John Sydney Racing. Looks as though they're coming up to lap Cole Robinson already. There goes Ian Thomas. Walter Giles well out in front now. No, he's actually, Giles has dropped back to 3rd. Back to 4th. Kim Jane has now got him. Kim Jane has also gone past Barry Graham to take 2nd spot. Southern Motors Pontiac Grand Prix doing a great job so far. And Kim Jane has actually won a NASCAR meeting here about 2 seasons ago.
Well, it's been a fair while for Kim. He drives very well, though. He's certainly single-minded about what he's trying to achieve out there, and you know, he's up to 2nd. What's happening now is one of the reasons they're changing positions a bit and having a look. What you tend to do is you let someone by that you think might be a threat a little later in the race, and you have a bit of a look at what their race car's going and what part of the track it's using, and if it's, you know, if the front of it's pushing up the track or it's getting a bit taily. So you know when push comes to shove, you know exactly what their cars are doing, so you can get in amongst it and work on their weakness. And you know, that's usually what happens at the start of these races.
Ian Thomas clinging to his lead now from Kim Jane. Barry Graham in 3rd place. There's the first of the losers.
Stepanek and Neville Lance. Stepanek's backed it into the wall.
Stepanek only a lap before taking a really odd line on turn 4 was way down low and looked as if he might have had a tyre problem.
The yellow flag.
Yellow is out.
Yep. And definitely backed the Paragon car into the wall. Barry Graham in 3rd. George Elliott.
Let's see what happened. Well, we picked it up just after it started to happen. So 14 and 41 definitely had a coming together, which forced both of them sideways on the track. And just look how long this accident takes to happen.
I'd say Neville Lance will be looking for 4 more good years. They'd be nice and square by now.
I would say so, because he had the thing locked up all the way around. And he's just flat spotted the tyres. Let's have a look at it from behind. No, it's Neville Lance losing. It doesn't appear that Stepanek actually had anything to do with the start of that. It was kind of forced into avoiding action because it was so close behind, Bradley.
That's why I see it. Neville's come in there, the car's got a little bit loose, and she started to go. He's jumped on the brakes. Jono has had nowhere to go. He's pushing to get involved in that.
Here comes Stepanek into the pits now. Rubber burning off the rear left of the car. You can see that there's not much left of the bodywork on that side of the vehicle.
Very unfortunate for Jono. I think that's just about dropped him a lap.
I can't yet. Alan, how's the thing going out there? You moved your way up to 8th position already from 13th.
Yeah, I got a bit of a trouble. As soon as the peat got into the tyres, the car started to push. But I'm bouncing it onto the, getting off right onto the flat part here, bouncing the car down there through the turn. That's kicking the tail out, so I'm going to cope like that for a while. We're going to start here.
So yeah.
Yes, and we have got a start. Ian Thomas again controls the start quite well. Gets away. Green flag is definitely waving. So we've got Ian Thomas leading them around turns 1 and 2 at the moment, heading up the back straight. It's the Bob Jane T-Mart NASCAR 250 current runner. It's the Quid NASCAR series for 93-94.
Oh, Thomas has had the big hit. Well, the little hit.
Kim Jane's just given him a nice little tap on the backside and said, hey, I'm here. That's allowed to Barry Graham to come up on the inside as well.
I'd say Barry's seen about as much as he needs to see back there. He figured there could be some action. He better get out of there pretty quickly.
And
so, Graham does so, comes down the inside. They go 3 abreast into the corner. Graham on the inside.
So Kim Jane taking the lead now. That's turn number 4 for the NASCARs here at the Thunderdome, coming down the main straight in front of the big spectator crowd here.
Ian Thomas has actually dropped back to fourth. George Elliott, who's done a great job from the rear of the fields, up to third. I think Ian's probably just, you know, he's had his run at the front. He's quite content to sit back now and have a bit of a look and see what everyone else is doing.
Ian's big problem, really, Bradley, has been getting to the finish line. And I would think that what he would like to do would be to sit back and be nice and consistent, because it's finishing that really wins you championships, isn't it?
That's true, but it's a fine line too. When you sit back too far, you can easily get involved in someone else's accident. So, you know, it's a fine line. Do you get to the front and drive aggressively, or do you sit back and try and stay out of trouble and hope to be there in the end? It's not an easy decision to make, and one you have to make on your feet.
Is that why we see you go up to the lead and then drop back a little bit a number of times during the race? Partly.
I like to have a look and see what everyone else's car is doing, and because we run on radial tyres, you can't run flat out for the whole race distance. Today, John and I ran flat out for the last 40, but you just can't do it for the whole race, where these are a little bit different. With NASCARs, you can run flat out if you can keep the tyres on them. So, fantastic race cam shots there.
That's from the roof of Alan Grice's Macro Go car, the car at Dental Mead from Tasmania, sitting on the tail of M.Dumesny, the reigning Australian champion.
It's ducking around a little bit. It's not good to have the car like that, but he's got plenty of time to change it. We've got Terry Byers all over Grice here at the moment.
And looking for a way through goes Terry Byers, and he's going to find it down the inside. Now, Grice's car has really got a lot of grunt. You've got to give it that. Meantime, back at the lead, and we've got a new leader, B.Graham. Past Kim Jane. 102 laps remaining, so on lap 18, B.Graham takes over the lead. Jane doesn't give up, though. Look at this. And behind comes Ian Thomas, or George Elliott, rather.
George Elliott doing a great job to come all the way back from the back end of the field. Started out, and he was basically disqualified off from yesterday. Was the champion 2 seasons ago, but has not won a race. Quite incredible. B.Graham going past Trevor Oliver just in front of Elliott and Kim Jane. There's the Oliver car right on screen.
In the pits is Ian Campbell.
As a result of the altercation with Neville, Lance John Stepanek from South Australia has been forced to park the 41 car. The reason being that during the impact, it appears that they have broken an oil connection underneath the engine, thus ending his day here at Thunderdome.
That's a shame for the Adelaide pole sitter, but the traffic now, it's going to make it interesting for the race leaders. John Faulkner trying to go the inside of Ian Thomas. We see there, though, it is the 55 car of George Elliott. Kim Jane in the 27 car. B.Graham getting out. We saw a few seconds earlier, though, the 86 car of Trevor Oliver. That is the first ever NASCAR that was ever brought into Australia. So how's that one for
amazing.
Jane again comes up in the second position on Elliott. Intriguing racing, but the thing you've got to understand is that these guys are lapping at about 145 miles an hour in this sort of traffic, that close to each other, putting implicit faith in each other, and still able to pass in all this traffic. Just sensational stuff. Well, look at this, Jane and Elliott side by side. Meantime, Faulkner's up into the fray as well in the Newline car.
Actually, that was Ian Thomas.
There's Ian Thomas now on George Elliott.
So he's come back hard. Sitting right on their tail is the Newline car of John Faulkner, the Oscar winner.
So that's the race for third position between Elliott, Thomas and Faulkner.
Bradley, what would the chances be of John taking out 2 races in a row, both the Oscar and the NASCAR race? Because that the Oscar race must have taken a hell of a lot out of him.
Oh, I think so, but it depends a lot on how his car's set up for this particular race. Physically, he should be able to do it. In America, they race for 4 hours, you know, on the trot. So he's had an hour to freshen up and have a bit of a break. So he should be fine if his fitness is there, and he looks reasonably fit. So I really don't think it's an issue.
Of course, it's never been done here, has it, that the one driver has won both races on the one day?
No, it hasn't.
No, it hasn't. Up at the Gold Coast, of course, we saw Charlie O'Brien do it. But the road circuit quite a lot different, and the race is very, very short.
Ian Thomas is now through George Elliott. George Elliott is under real threat from John Faulkner for 4th position. Look at Faulkner, and look at Walter Giles right behind, giving Faulkner a hard time. Giles in the pink DuPont car. And then
More of a second. There's the BP Visco car of Charlie O'Brien, the winner in Adelaide. And O'Brien currently lies in second spot in the championship as well, behind Dumesny. O'Brien at the moment has just got into the top 10.
riding with Charlie O'Brien now. He's 7 seconds behind Max Dumesny, and Dumesny, of course, is the target for O'Brien today, because it's a battle for the championship as much as it is for a win here.
He was looking quite comfortable in the car there. They did some sensational times with that particular car last week.
Oh, Faulkner and Dumesny! Both of them off. Meantime, there had been a lead change.
Oh, gee, I tell you what, Maxie's car looks to be okay. The yellow flag is waving.
John's actually hit the wall.
So Faulkner's car quite badly damaged at the front, you'd say.
Looks like that might put him out, but the big thing is Max and going again before he drops down a lap.
See what happened.
See the smoke on Faulkner's car. He might have blown a tyre or something there.
Then Dumesny's so low on the track, with nowhere to go. The touch quite gentle between the two of them, I mean comparatively so. Don't like the look of the front right-hand wheel on Dumesny's car. It seemed to be out far wide.
Has gone into pit lane as well. We see him on screen there at the moment. The Triple M Optus car. Tyres coming out. And 35 laps down. Obviously the car's, the pace is fairly...
3 right there, as you can see. A hugely bad luck for Max Dumesny. Dumesny currently leads the title on 675 points from O'Brien, 638. That deficit of 37 points, in fact, was exactly the winning margin between Dumesny and O'Brien in last year's championship.
Spots on the in the field will get that back for Charlie O'Brien.
Well, certainly close the point score.
Dumesny's car has just blown into fire.
They haven't quite realised it now. They have.
Whoa.
Geez, that got his attention quickly.
I bet it did.
Gee, that's...
Oh, it's really on fire too. I mean, that's not a small blaze.
Get out of it, Max.
Get out of it, Max. Max has got the message, I think.
That's quite incredible. Maybe that
Max doesn't want to get out of the car, because if they can get the fire out, he'll. I don't know what the rule is about him getting out and getting back in again now.
Max was in fact held in the car then by his helmet strap, the strap that stops his head going over to the left in all the corners. And as he tried to get out, he was in fact held in by that.
Well, he won't be driving that car.
This blaze is not going out easily, is it?
That looks
in fact,
to be
the fire marshal's kind of given up on it.
Yeah, that looks to be his fuel line may have broken or something.
Fuel line or an oil line under the car.
Yeah.
But they need to push that car out of the fire. Oh, yeah, there they go.
There they go. Yeah, well, that's the reason why
Max wasn't going anywhere.
Anyway, yeah. As I said, the front right-hand car side of the car did look a bit sus.
There the fire goes again at the back of the car.
At the back of the car, and they haven't woken up to it. No, it's actually on the track. It's fuel.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's burning pretty well. I'm not sure whether that'd be a fuel or an oil fire, but it's
yeah, it didn't look as though he got that much of a hit. It was quite deceiving from when Faulkner came down the track, but obviously it was fairly substantial.
And as we wait for this melee to sort
up 10 or 15 points, and in the end, that could quite well be the difference.
The situation might have been a little more terminal than that.
Well, he's actually pitted next to us, and Ian Waldburn, his crew chief, drops in and out for cups of coffee, or we do to his place. And they were certainly working on it quite hard yesterday. They had to head off it and trying to sort it all out, but he seems to have got it all going well today. I mean, it's a beautifully presented car, and it always does run.
Jane will start the race in the lead. B.Graham is in second position, Max Dumesny's teammate. Ian Thomas will start in third place. Then Walter Giles in the DuPont car will be next, followed by Gene Cook. Then Charlie O'Brien in sixth position from Ron Goodman, who in fact trashed his trailer on the way to the race meeting. Totally rode off the rig, but the car survived. Neville Lance will get underway again in eighth position after his off, followed by George Elliott in car 55, starting in ninth position.
But it's been on fire. Yeah, we've got to get... Yeah, it's not bad.
And on the restart, it's Kim Jane into the lead from B.Graham in second position. Walter Giles moves up into third.
And Ian Thomas in the 4th spot. Kim Jane got a couple of car lengths already over Barry Graham. It was interesting to know that M.Dumesny said he's going to try and get the car going again, Bradley.
Great men think alike, don't they, Jared?
Meantime, Charlie O'Brien has space in front of him, space behind him, and I think at this early stage, comparatively early stage of the race, that's exactly where he wants to be. Just look at Walter Giles go. This man, who is hampered by, shall we say, lack of funds, who is a real enthusiast and who is a real consummate professional, is throwing out the challenge to Barry Graham and passing him.
That's fantastic. The 91 DuPont Chevy Lumina. Walter Giles into turn number 3. Looking good in 2nd spot now. He's now after Kim Jane.
Giles just so pumped up today. Look at him go.
Great job. He's 0.8 of a second behind Jane.
Meantime, behind them comes Barry Graham, now under all sorts of pressure.
He's actually closing.
Thomas.
Walter Giles is closing the gap quite considerably on Kim Jane. There's Ian Thomas and Barry Graham. The difference between those two is just 0.2 of a second. Ian Thomas doing a fantastic job so far. We're on lap 45. There's 75 to go.
Quite interesting, Ian Thomas. If you talk to him in the pits, he's certainly not moving very well. He's sore and he's doing a great job. You know, he's out there and he's very competitive.
Yeah, he did knock himself around quite severely at 27 Kim Jane and 91 Walter Giles, and Giles closing by the millimetre every lap. Oh, this is fantastic. Look at Giles into it.
The gap down to less than half of a tenth of a second. Walter Giles and Kim Jane go across the start-finish line again now into turn.
And he's done it. And he's done it. Walter Giles in a car he's built himself up into the lead. He builds his own chassis. In fact, builds them for quite a number of people who race on a budget in Australia. And there is nothing that this chassis is lacking here today at Calder Park Thunderdome.
Of interest was that Walter this morning took a gentleman for a ride around the Thunderdome, an 87-year-old man.
Yeah, but it wasn't just anyone. It was Frank Satan Brewer, one of the stars, all-time great stars of Sydney Royale Speedway back in the 19...
Yeah, and Mr. Brewer certainly had a great time this morning. They started out, great shot. This
is off Charlie O'Brien. Terry Byers having a real go on Charlie O'Brien at the moment, moving along the inside. O'Brien covering him as they come into turn 3.
Byers trying the inside. He'll settle just behind Charlie O'Brien. Sitting not too far behind, of course, is Alan Grice in 9th position in Denzel Mead's car. The Ford Thunderbird of Charlie O'Brien looks fantastic around here. Byers trying the inside now. He's going to challenge. He takes the low line. O'Brien should have enough. No, not this time. A good move that time by Terry Byers. May have drifted a little bit too wide. Great vision from the race cam, the SBS race cam. And Bradley, you wouldn't have got to have seen it earlier, but we had John Faulkner tailing you in the Oscar race, and we lost vision for a second because he was so close that it was touching the camera.
For the lead. In the lead is Walter Giles. Behind him is Kim Jane. Now Giles right off the pace, and Kim Jane's in the lead again. Now that was strange there, Brad. I mean, Giles was down on the inside and it looked like he just gave it away.
Well, I don't know that he gave it away. Kim was up and he planned that move off for a couple of laps. Very brave to pass around the outside here, but Kim's never been short of that. So it was a good move, clean move. He got the lead, but not one that you'd want to do every lap.
And just look who's lurking 1.6 seconds in the background. It's Barry Graham. And Graham, I think, quite content at this stage to let these two people, Jane and Giles, fight out the lead. And for him to be just far enough back to avoid the accident should it occur.
I would think that's what he's thinking exactly, John.
And Walter Giles takes back the lead as they went into turn number 1. Barry Graham just sitting there, the Oldsmobile, looking good, the second car of the John Sydney Racing team. And it's been quite a wise decision to bring Barry Graham on board with the team this year because, of course, they get twice the data and twice the experience, and it's paying off in the results.
Side of one of the youngest drivers in the field, Barry Brian Sala.
Oh, great move by Kim Jane.
Wow.
That was a good move. Great move. Went round the inside of Trevor Oliver. Giles went the outside, and Kim Jane took back the lead. We've gone 56 laps, 57 laps, and 63 to go in the Bob Jane Teammate NASCAR 250. It's the round 5 of the Quit NASCAR Series for 93-94.
Car of Denzel Meters, in fact, to be driven by road racing driver Andrew Medicki. So quite a deal of competition, and Brad Jones, chances are you'll have your NASCAR there as well.
Yeah, I think there's a very good, well, we definitely will have our NASCAR there, so should be a great race.
Giles goes for the inside again. Can he do it? Kim Jane comes down, squeezes him. There's not much room there, Walter Giles. Don't do it. Then Jane goes wide, and this is the chance on the way out of the corner for Giles maybe to get stuck into it. Can't do it.
Sensational stuff. These two are out at hammer and time.
Kim Jane that time closes the door. The lead less than 1/10 of a second.
The other thing, by running one high and, you know, not being able to use the whole of the track, they've allowed B.Graham to close that gap, and now he's right on top of them and in a position to make a move if he needs to.
60 laps down, so exactly half race distance. The half race distance leader will be Kim Jane, and of course Kim Jane
Oh, Brian Sala
and Oliver. Sala and Oliver, and that brings out the yellow caution flags here. And also, are we looking to see, is it Alan Grice? Also on the exit to turn number 4. There he is on screen at the moment. The car is in motion.
He needs to get going so he doesn't dump a lap.
Yeah. Grice has done the right thing and is staying out there. Has to.
In actual fact, he would have been better off shooting down pit lane and passing Kim Jane, I think.
So let's have a look at what happened out there first, and then maybe we'll get a quiet word from Alan Grice. So there's the two of them. Charlie O'Brien almost part of the accident there. Now here comes Grice behind them.
Yep.
Goes down low and goes through sideways past them. So Grice in a lot of trouble as he tried to get out of the way of them. Here it is again. Here it is from Alan Grice's car. You can see Charlie O'Brien just misses the crash on the inside. Then Grice, as he comes down off the bowl, gets it sideways, sideways, every bit of lock on, gets on the grass, starts to accelerate back the other way. Jim Kahn, of course, now all he needs is a few witches hats out there. Then the wall starts coming up. Does he hit it? Or just a little touch of smoke there. And Alan Grice, it's John Smales. How was that? Alan Grice, thank you. Leave you to it. So, Grice obviously thinking like a race driver, not like a commentator at the moment. You can't say you blame him for that. In the pits, just about everyone, including Charlie O'Brien there, getting his new Goodyears on. By our calculation at the moment, this will leave Terry Byers in the lead in the motor race by the time the yellow flag is withdrawn and the race gets underway again. Charlie O'Brien leaves, and did he take the overflow pipe with him? No, he didn't.
The guy just didn't want to spill any.
Yes. Yeah. Grice now gets new rubber on the side that counts.
He'd hoping to get out. He's got his lap back, but the pace car is starting to come around. I think he's going to lose that lap again. If
lights are still on the pace car.
Go, Grice. Pace car right alongside him.
He got a stop go as well, we're told. So he was held there a little bit longer. He's going to beat the pace car over the start finish line, so he can come all the way around and join them on that lap.
I believe that stop go was for passing B.Graham under the yellow.
Just looking at the back of Grice's car too, it seems as though it's had a bit of a bingle.
Got bodywork skew there. You can only suggest that that happened as part of the avoidance action.
May have just taken the bumper off as he went sideways past Oliver and Sala.
I was in Elfin when he was 15 in club races in Victoria. Just amazing.
Lights are off on the pace car, so we're just about ready for some more action.
And that's the message on Brian Sala's car. As you can see, it's guard on tyre, bent subframe perhaps. Here we come, a little bit of gentle panel beating. Meantime, we wait for a restart with 55 laps remaining. Restart being controlled by Terry Byers, the only man not to pit. Byers away. Behind him comes Walter Giles.
Then we've got Ian Thomas still doing exceptionally well. He's in the third spot. The Palm Royale car, they're about to try for second position. Trying to get under Giles. No, Giles is going to have him, but Giles has got Byers.
Outside, look at that.
And Thomas is going, oh, he's drifted up fairly high that time. Looks as though he's going to get Terry Byers as they come onto the main straight yet again. Ian Thomas in the second spot. Walter Giles leading. Then we've got Barry Graham.
Followed by Kim Jane, followed by George Elliott.
And Charlie O'Brien is lurking not too far behind, currently sitting in the seventh spot. Walter Giles, a DuPont. Since Walter Giles, Ian Thomas, Terry Byers, Barry Graham, Kim Jane and George Elliott.
And just out of that, of course, to Ian Thomas, who's just passed him, of course. Byers not on new rubber. He didn't come to the pits. And in the pits is Ian Campbell. The pit's just a little bit quicker.
Well, it was a bit of a sensational move, really. He unlapped himself under the yellow and got a 15-minute stop and go, and that was a penalty for staying on the lead lap, which is a good move.
He had the rules written on the whiteboard too, but someone wiped them off.
In the lead is Walter Giles. Behind Walter Giles comes Ian Thomas. Then comes Barry Graham, and not too far behind, as you can see. Car 2 to car 3. I reckon everything that's been happening, Graham is really the big chance in this event. He has always been in the top 3. He's always been strong, and he's always just keeping himself out of difficulty as he now moves up into second position past Thomas.
Well, this is the business end of the race. Look, they saw in the background there,
Byers.
Terry Byers have a bit of a moment. This is the business end of the race, and Barry's, done everything right so far. The car looks great. He's driving it well. The Valvoline car, you couldn't ask for any more. And now he just needs to get to the front and consolidate his lead. But Walter's not making that an easy task.
Well, neither of these first 4 competitors, Giles, Graham, Thomas or Elliott, have won a race meeting.
It's quite amazing when you stop and think about it, isn't it? I mean, it's so competitive out there.
Look at Elliott on Jane. Round the outside, Jane clinging to the inside. Elliott can't get down, but Jane drifts up, then down again. I have never seen anyone use as much track as Kim Jane.
He's certainly going in for some brave moves. Elliott pushing up high. Jane pushes him up higher, coming out of the turn number 2. Pontiac Grand Prix of Kim Jane looking quite good, the number 27 car. Elliott now just dropped back a couple of car lengths. So it's Walter Giles, there goes Graham. Thomas, Jane. Kim Jane won a race, as we said earlier, a couple of seasons ago here at the Thunderdome.
And it is difficult to win a race in this sort of competition at this sort of speed. This man, the Akubra man, Alan Grice, is the man who's won more NASCAR races than anyone else in Australia. 6 to be precise. There have been 35 races. Grice has won 6 of them. So it gives you an idea just how difficult it is to win even one, doesn't it? There's not been one person who's dominated this NASCAR racing in Australia.
Power on screen at the moment, that's Ron Goodman, the West Coast wine cooler, Holden Commodore.
And of course, the man who won the first race ever in Australia was Neil Bonnet back in 1988. And Gerald, the pits here today mourning the death of Neil Bonnet, who died in practice for the Daytona 500 just 2 days ago.
Yes, Neil Bonnet, a great win, the number 75 Valvoline car back on the 28th of February 1988. Just a little less than 6 years ago, and unfortunately it was a mile an hour and was killed.
Now comes Barry Graham up alongside Walter Giles and takes over the lead. Barry Graham. Giles won't give it away on the outside, but Graham is well positioned on the inside, and his power now must assert it. No, look at Giles, come back. Now Graham. Nothing to do from there, Walter Giles, surely.
Graham's car looked to have a little bit of a bobble there on the back straight, Brad.
Well, it's the, as I keep on saying, the business end of the deal, and they're certainly fighting very hard for the lead. They won't be letting go. Their lap car there, I think that's just enough to give Walter the lead.
There was so much competitiveness there that when those two guys went across the start-finish line, there was just sit down again.
During the greens, of course, so anything that James losing in the pits now, he's losing on the racetrack as well. Not a lightning fast stop, probably about 30 seconds. And that's more than a...
Well, Walter Giles again takes back the lead from Barry Graham. Boy, these guys are putting on a great dice. 80 laps down, 40 laps to go. So we're at three-quarter race distance. Barry Graham's in front this time, not Walter Giles. We would have had about 15 lead changes already. So coming out of turn 2, heading up the back straight, these cars will be doing in excess of 170 miles per hour up the back straight. Hard onto the brakes coming into turn 3, feathering the throttle. Nice, easy line. Graham, gee, that didn't look all that pretty.
Got the job done though. Now he's in the lead, and just try and put a bit of a gap on Walter, which I think is easier said than done. Walter's actually doing a fantastic job in his DuPont Lumina.
Certainly is.
Looks fantastic, and he certainly has got the speed today.
Kim Jane gone back into the pit area.
This great myriad of work that's going on behind is a serious attempt to get the defending series champion M.Dumesny back into play today. They need to keep the point score up. And just behind me to my right, we've got the 46 car of John Faulkner. Both of them very serious about re-entering this race today.
Ian, how long do you think it'll be before they had Barry Graham by just 2 points if Barry Graham wins this race?
We're having a shot at the West Coast Cooler car here, which has a sensational paint job. It's one of the best looking NASCARs I think I've seen.
Oh, and just look how much he catches on Bryce in that corner too.
We've got caution on the racetrack. Caution on the racetrack. The driver's now starting to slow down. Just checking to see what looks to be a part of a filler cap.
Every second, every precious second he can to get back out and finish the race in some point score contention.
Barry Graham coming into pit lane. Ken James on screen at the moment, but Barry Graham coming in, as is George Elliott and Terry Byers. See the mass exodus off the racetrack on screen at the moment. There goes Byers into the pit area.
Walter Giles stays out. So does Charlie O'Brien. So also does Ian Thomas.
Hootson's Dutch Bakery, Terry Byers' car.
There's the Barry Graham vehicle. Dropped down off its workshop jack. Four tyres. So Graham getting very serious about having a go, I'd suggest.
Quite interesting him coming in at this late stage for 4 tyres. I don't know if he's got a problem with the car or...
Brad, once he gets out there again, how long is it going to take for those tyres to get heat in them so that he's operative?
Oh, they get sticky very quickly. That's not really the problem in getting back up to the front.
You see Elliott has just gone out in front of Barry Graham.
And Elliott's got a problem with his clutch, so if Barry's a bit lucky, he'll wave him straight past and he'll drop on the back of the lead lap. But I'm
about 5th or 6th in the championship.
Very pretty car. It's the only EB or EA Falcon that runs, so they don't get any help from anyone. They just have to work away at their package, and it's got a different aero shape to everyone else out there, but they're doing a good job with the car.
That's the number 13 car.
We take into account the lapped drivers that are in front of him in the restart. Graham will now start in 10th position, which is, of course, only 10 car lengths behind the leader. But it's still 10 cars you've got to get through.
It's quite interesting what's happening. There's a gentleman's agreement that what happens is if you could sneak up the outside and they let you in, that's fine. But, and I guess that's what George was up to by sneaking past them and pulling up in front of them there. But somebody, and I think it was AG, certainly didn't want them to squeeze in. So he was trying to get Neville to move up a little bit.
That was quite interesting. The lights are back on the pace car now. And Trevor
Let's
Oliver.
have another look at it here and see if you can call it, Bradley, as to what happened with your experience. Maybe a little late in the replay.
Yeah, we're a bit
to be
late,
able to...
but I think what's happened is Neville's, for some reason, ducked to the inside, hit the Oliver car, shot up the track, and it looks like Neville's got away okay, but he's caused a fair bit of damage to the Trevor Oliver car, which is coming into the pits and shaking all over the road there a bit.
Now, if he doesn't get out in the next 4 laps, the race will run out of lap distance, and there will be no purpose in Max Dumesny going out because he won't be able to make up any places by the end of the race. So 4 laps remain for Dumesny. Now let's have a look at the replay again and see if we can pick up what happened. Look at the back of this picture.
Neville actually is changing tyres. He's got a puncture. Maybe he had a tyre go down there, and that's what happened.
So here you go.
Now that was Oliver coming up, and he drove into the side of Neville Lance. That might have been interesting. Someone might have pushed in front of him, so he's decided, hang on, I'll fix you up.
Well, it's Brycey was giving Neville a bit of a tap up the bum to tell him to keep up there earlier, but looks like maybe Oliver had it.
Giles controls the start. Green flag waves. Giles guns it, so does Ian Thomas. Charlie O'Brien in the pack as well. Giles holds it, but look at Thomas trying to come through.
28 laps to go. Walter Giles in front. Ian Thomas, Charlie O'Brien, Gene Cook, Gracie's.
Grice starting to look really anxious there, 2 cars behind, really looking for a way through.
So the car's coming out of turn number 4 now. Walter Giles still in the lead. Byers obviously a lap down. 2 laps down.
Barry Graham down low on the track, right behind Alan Grice. He's the man who's anxious now because it's Graham who's got to make up distance in this race, make up places in this race. Car 2, Ian Thomas.
I really think Ian Thomas has done a fantastic job. As Brad said, he's not moving too good in the pit, down in the pits before getting into the race car. The physical work that you do inside the race car is quite a lot, so he's doing a great job. He's there after 95 laps, still in 2nd position, so fantastic race so far.
Terry Byers.
Part of his sheet metal is flapping on the car. The officials are having a close look at it now.
Ron Goodman, in fact, lying.
Thomas still mid-track, and Graham's going to take them both on the inside. No.
It all got very crowded there for one moment, didn't it?
It's not over yet.
Graham now looks down the inside of Thomas. Thomas, a strong car.
See, George Elliott come out of there really fast. Really fast.
Well, perhaps Thomas was just sort of backing off.
10th spot. Barry Graham.
And will soon try to rejoin the event. Unbelievable effort. There it is. Burnt, blackened, battered, but coming back into the fray is Max Dumesny. Just look at that. Would you drive that car?
The crowd here at the Thunderdome have gone wild for Max Dumesny. The race
thinner by the minute. This time, down the inside goes Jay Elliott. This time, holding Giles.
Wow, this is fantastic.
Yes, new leader. George Elliott from Walter Giles.
Unbelievable. The Triple M Optus car is out in front. He's got a car length. Walter Giles isn't going to give up, but Barry Graham also starting to put the pedal down to the metal, but George Elliott now to go to the infield. No. Looking through the headlight of the Ford Thunderbird. Coming around turn number 2. Oh, boy.
Oh, go, Charlie. Down the inside he goes. O'Brien's got the biggest brakes of any NASCAR here as they go past Byers. O'Brien, in fact, running his road race brakes on a NASCAR circuit.
O'Brien come up and lap Alan Grice on the last lap. So it looks to be Elliott, then Walter Giles, and then Barry Graham will come in 3rd. So George Elliott coming around turn number 4 for the last time and onto the main straight. The Chevy Lumina, Triple M FM and Optus Communications takes the checkered flag.
Walter Giles.
Considering he had no clutch, fantastic effort.
There's Walter Giles in the DuPont car. Professional effort, which Graham maybe feels a little bit sad that he... And there are the results of the Quit Australian NASCAR Championship, round 4 of the 93-94 season. George Elliott the winner from Walter Giles, with Barry Graham 3rd,